we're back with another Media Minute with RJ Ochoa, editor-in-chief and manager of Blogging the Boys, and a regular contributor of SB Nation. RJ, welcome aboard.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Joe. Great to be here.
It's great to have you. And let's listen, you know a lot about the whole relationship with PR professionals, right? You work with a lot of folks in the industry. Talk about that and talk about that relationship and how that plays into your day to day.
Sure. Well, I cover the Dallas Cowboys first and foremost and cover a lot of golf and some things that are kind of macro in that sense, the NFL at large, and sometimes some extracurricular things. We're coming off the Olympics, things like that. And so, I honestly don't know how the sausage gets made in your world, but I find it fun and interesting every time I get some sort of email from some sort of PR professional with a pitch, with any kind of story opportunity. And my disposition throughout my career has always been that saying yes to anything and everything is the right way to go. And so I mean, I don't even know of a time I've said no to any kind of pitch or any kind of, idea, because I think that we're all here to help each other. I'm a journalist by trade, I suppose, a blogger, however you want to categorize that. Early in my career, I had a thought that maybe I would wind up in the PR world just because I felt like what I always wanted to do was connect with people. And I feel like PR professionals offer that opportunity and offer that branch and that launching point. And so I feel like we're all in it for the same reason and the same goal, the same end game, whatever it is, whatever the pitch or whatever's going on. We all want the same thing. And so however I can help is certainly what I like to do and do with all the energy and opportunity that I have at my hand.
Sounds great. And it's about those key relationships, right? You establish that trust over time, I assume.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, it is a give and take sometimes. You run into different situations, and it isn't always, in my experience, the PR professional or the PR firm. Sometimes it's the athlete or whoever. Sometimes there are lines you can't cross or certain things that are off topic, some things that have to be changed or change in the process, right? And again, kind of in the same theme, that's nobody's fault, right? Like nobody is in this to make it a terrible time. And so however we can kind of, you know, trek through whatever the situation is together, I do think that builds up necessary trust for the future, for whenever, you have another opportunity, I have another opportunity, we can help one another. Again, there's enough meat on the bone for all of us to eat. And that's kind of how I like to approach things.
That's great. Now, you've got those pitches as they come across your email, right? What are some of those key things you're looking for in that story pitch that could really spur you to react and follow through?
I think for me, the subject is obviously important, right? If I, get a lifestyle, email or something like that isn't my wheelhouse. I mean,
Right.
that's typically something I veer off from. But as an example, earlier today, the day we're speaking, I had a PR professional email me about an NBA opportunity, and I love the NBA, big fan of the association, but that's not my thing. That's not my cup of tea. But I happen to work for a place that has all sorts of people that cover all sorts of sports, and so was able to reach out to somebody internally and say, "Hey, I've got this opportunity here. Is this something you're interested in?" Was able to connect parties A and B, and I'm hopeful that God willing, that's a relationship down the road that fosters new growth, new opportunities, and maybe that kicks back on me in a situation where they have something that I can work on. But if it helps my company, if it helps the PR company, if it just helps another human being, really ultimately that's kind of what I view my purpose to be is to provide whatever help and opportunities I can. And if it's something that isn't in my wheelhouse, I definitely want to give you all the energy I can to find a place where it can be of use for someone if it isn't me specifically.
That is awesome of you. And everybody helping each other with end deliverables, home run, right? All right, Del, walk us through. You've got the story, you're starting to develop that story, you're staying in touch with the PR professional. How's that person helping you along the way?
Most of the time, the instances that I'm involved in generally are built around an interview that's some sort of nucleus for the project. And so that kind of, speaks for itself, right? I interview LeBron James or whoever, and then he's pushing some product or whatever, and I'm able to turn it into some story. There's certain language that is typically required to
Mhm.
promote whatever the product is. Again, I think we all understand the kind of 101 here. it is nice to understand to break things down into brass tacks. What do you want? What exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for this to be the headline? Are you looking for this to be the lead? Are you looking for this to be more natural? Do you want it to not even come across as something that is over the top? So I think the tenor and the tempo that is ideal is a helpful thing to understand. I like to think that I'm versatile enough to be able to pull off any of those things, but especially if it is involving some sort of interview. This is something that's a little bit more common at events, say like the Super Bowl, where you're kind of doing a car wash, but nobody wants a product or anything to be over the top, right? If it can be natural and if you can segue in it in a fun way, I definitely want to do that. And I think that shines the best possible light on the product or the service, on the individual promoting it, on the PR firm. So I think understanding, what it is that is wanted. I don't think that comes across as blunt personally. I think that comes across as helpful. And I think that really allows me to do my job in the best possible way.
That's terrific. Now, talk a little bit about AI and how that's shaped the work you do on a day to day.
Honestly, I mean, this is a polarizing subject, certainly even on
Yeah.
a political scale. I think my current usage rate of AI is however I can save some time and really more of like advanced Googling. I don't really rely on it for anything legitimate. But if I'm looking for, something quick, sometimes whatever it is, ChatGPT, whatever your preferred service is, sometimes it is better or more natural at finding an exact specific query. And you can type it in a way, if you want to Google something, you have to kind of understand how to Google and how to yield the searches that you want. But with one of these AI prompts, you can be a little bit more conversational. As somebody who writes and talks for a living, that is certainly helpful for me and how my brain is wired. So it really is just kind of cross-referencing things. And honestly, I mean, I would never just rely on it solely, but if it's helpful to kind of serve as a catalyst in my brain to think about
Mhm.
something so that I can cross-reference it somewhere else. So helping me kind of think in a way that I may not, and that way I don't have to go get another cup of coffee. The AI service can just kind of be that lightning rod for me.
Yeah, that's very common, by the way. What you just shared is very common from other media that we've been chatting with on Media Minute. So thank you. You're very consistent there. All right, so let's land the plane. You've had an incredible amount of success. So kudos to you and continue more success in your journey here. Give us an example of one that stands out where, you yourself, PR professional, work together and really nail the home run story.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that I like to say yes to everything. And so, initially, I would get pitches for Dallas Cowboys players who were pushing something or whatever. And then it became NFL players, and then it became whatever, golfers, whatever. And because, PR firms represent a variety of people. And I have no idea I mean, I would love to stay working here for the rest of my life, but I have no idea what the next 5 years will look like, the next 10 years, next 20 years, whatever. But there was a situation where I interviewed DeMarcus Ware, the longtime Cowboy, won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. He's a Hall of Famer, and I've interviewed him at least a dozen times at this point. Real first world problems here. But it became kind of a running joke with he and I in our interviews and whatnot, like can't keep running into you sort of thing. And the PR professional who happened to be representing him relative to all these clients, it also became part of our joke and our relationship, and that really helped really strengthen and deepen that relationship. At a Super Bowl, this particular PR professional was able to give me a lot of things and set me up with a lot of her colleagues that were able to really help me shine in my job at that particular point. And so I think a lot of people in my position would have said, I already interviewed DeMarcus Ware once, or I already interviewed him 5 times, or I already interviewed him when he was pushing product X or product Y. But this specific individual, she and I really kind of collaborated in a way that was like, well, we can do it differently this time. And she also made me feel really secure in that he's super excited to talk to you again. When I was a little bit worried and tentative that he may be annoyed or just kind of bothered that I was interviewing him yet again. So she really helped kind of amplify the fun around the situation, and it became something that has bore a lot of fruit for me, and I hope for her, obviously. And so that is a situation where I think. Again, a lot of people would have turned away and said, I've kind of eaten what I can from here, and good
Yeah.
luck, or I'll pass you along. But again, if somebody's going to open a door for me, I'm going to try to walk through it and make sure that everyone in the process can benefit as well.
That's a great one. That's a great example. Thanks for sharing that. That's great. Okay, so we thank you very much for joining. and RJ Ochoa. Everybody check out Blogging the Boys, right?
That's correct.
Great work there, and log on and check it out. And we'll see you next time on Media Minute. Thank you.